This week, President Donald Trump shocked the world with a bold and controversial move that has sent shockwaves through the global economy. He announced sweeping new tariffs on imported goods, targeting a vast array of products from countries around the globe. These tariffs are designed to make foreign goods more expensive, fundamentally altering the way America does business with its trading partners. The move marks a dramatic escalation of his America First economic policy, sending global markets into a tailspin. Investors reacted with alarm, as stock prices tumbled and uncertainty rippled through financial centers from New York to Tokyo. America's closest allies, especially Canada, are left scrambling to respond. Canadian officials rushed into emergency meetings, seeking ways to protect their own industries and workers from the fallout. These tariffs target a wide range of products and nations, signaling a confrontational new era in global trade. Everyday items from electronics to groceries could soon be affected, as supply chains are disrupted and costs rise. The suddenness of the announcement blindsided leaders and businesses, who now face major financial uncertainty. Many companies are scrambling to assess the impact on their operations, budgets, and future plans. Trump's goal is clear: protect American jobs by making foreign goods more expensive, hoping to boost domestic manufacturing and encourage companies to invest in American workers. Supporters argue this could revitalize industries that have struggled for decades, but this strategy risks upending decades of international cooperation and could disrupt the global economy. Long-standing alliances are being tested, and the rules of trade are being rewritten in real time. Key questions loom. How will this affect prices for American families? Will everyday essentials become more expensive, straining household budgets? What about companies relying on foreign parts and materials? Many American businesses depend on global supply chains, and sudden changes could threaten their survival. And how will allies like Canada react? Retaliatory tariffs and diplomatic tensions could escalate, leading to a trade war with unpredictable consequences. The world is bracing for a period of intense negotiation and potential upheaval. Leaders everywhere are preparing for tough talks and possible confrontations. The decisions made now could reshape global trade for years to come, altering the economic landscape for future generations. The stakes have never been higher, and the world watches anxiously as a new chapter in international trade begins. A tariff is essentially a tax placed on goods that are brought into a country from abroad. Governments use tariffs to make imported products more expensive compared to those made domestically. This extra cost is added at the border, and it can affect a wide range of products, from electronics and clothing to raw materials and food. When tariffs are imposed, the price of imported goods rises, making them more expensive for both everyday consumers and businesses that rely on these products. This can mean higher prices at the checkout counter, and increased costs for companies that use imported materials to manufacture their own goods. For example, imagine a Canadian-made table that originally costs $100. If a 35% tariff is applied, that same table now costs $135 before it even reaches store shelves in the US. This price hike can ripple through the supply chain, affecting retailers and ultimately the end customer. Former President Donald Trump and his administration argued that these tariffs would help level the playing field for American businesses. They claimed that foreign competitors were benefiting from unfair trade practices, and that tariffs would help counteract these advantages. The hope was that by making imported goods more expensive, American-made products would become more attractive to buyers. This, in turn, could boost demand for U.S. goods, create more jobs in American factories, and help reduce the country's trade deficit with other nations. Tariffs are also used as a strategic tool in international negotiations. By imposing tariffs, a country can pressure its trading partners to open their markets to its own goods, or to change policies seen as unfair. However, many economists caution that tariffs can have unintended consequences. They warn that higher prices can hurt consumers and businesses alike, especially industries that depend on imported parts or materials to stay competitive. There's also the risk of retaliation. When one country imposes tariffs, others often respond by placing their own tariffs on exports, escalating tensions and making it harder for everyone to trade. This tit-for-tat escalation can quickly spiral into a full-blown trade war, leading to job losses, factory closures, and economic pain on both sides of the dispute. While the basic idea behind tariffs may seem straightforward, the ripple effects are often far-reaching and complex, impacting everything from local businesses to global markets. As countries around the world watch these policies unfold, the stakes couldn't be higher. The outcome of these trade battles will shape economies, jobs, and international relationships for years to come. Canada, America's neighbor and top trading partner, faces a punishing 35% tariff on all goods entering the US. This isn't limited to a few products, it hits everything from lumber and cars to maple syrup and beef. The move threatens decades of close economic ties, disrupting integrated supply chains built under NAFTA and USMCA. Key industries like steel, aluminum, and autos are especially vulnerable, with costs set to soar. For many Canadian businesses, this tariff could be a death blow, pricing them out of the US market overnight. Jobs and livelihoods are at immediate risk, as companies struggle to absorb or pass on the massive cost increase. The message is clear. Canada is now treated as an economic adversary, not a partner. The fallout could reshape the relationship for years to come. Canada wasted no time in striking back. Within hours of the US announcement, Canadian officials were already preparing a response, determined to show strength and resolve on the world stage. Prime Minister Trudeau's government announced dollar-for-dollar retaliatory tariffs, targeting a wide range of US goods, from steel and aluminum to everyday items like orange juice and bourbon. The message was clear: Canada would not back down. These products weren't chosen at random. Each one was carefully selected to hit politically sensitive regions in the United States, especially those with strong ties to key lawmakers and industries. The goal was to create pressure where it would be felt most. Canada's response was both calculated and forceful, sending a strong signal to Washington and the world that it would not be bullied or intimidated by its larger neighbor. The public quickly rallied behind the government's tough stance. Across the country, Canadians framed the dispute as a matter of national pride and sovereignty, uniting citizens from coast to coast. The tit-for-tat escalation rapidly transformed what began as a policy disagreement into a full-blown trade war, with both sides digging in and refusing to blink. Now, businesses on both sides of the border are caught in the crossfire. American whiskey faces new taxes in Canada, making it more expensive for Canadian consumers, while Canadian firms are forced to pay higher prices for US steel and other imports. The cycle of retaliation is a lose-lose situation, raising costs for producers and consumers alike. Factory workers worry about layoffs, small businesses struggle with rising expenses, and families feel the pinch at the checkout. Canada's message to the world is unmistakable: we will match your aggression, step for step, and defend our interests no matter the cost. The standoff shows no signs of ending soon. With both sides refusing to compromise, the trade dispute is set to drag on, casting a long shadow over the economies of both nations. For many, the economic pain is just beginning, as uncertainty and higher prices become the new normal in this escalating trade war. The trade war's impact is immediate and widespread. The auto industry, with its cross-border supply chains, faces soaring costs as tariffs hit parts at every crossing. For consumers, higher prices are already appearing on store shelves. Canadian lumber for US homes, American ketchup in Canada. Household budgets are squeezed and consumer spending slows, threatening economic growth. Farmers are hit hard. US dairy and cheese exports to Canada drop, while Canadian beef faces steep tariffs in the US. The pain ripples outward. When steel and aluminum get pricier, every company using them pays more, passing costs to customers. What began as targeted protectionism now hurts a wide range of industries. The hidden cost: jobs lost, businesses shuttered, and higher prices for everyone. The trade war's effects are felt far beyond government offices. Ordinary families are paying the price. Uncertainty now clouds the business landscape. Companies need stability to plan investments and hiring, but sudden tariffs have shattered predictability. Business confidence has plummeted, with projects delayed and investments shelved. Firms are scrambling to rethink supply chains. Should they absorb tariffs or find new suppliers at great cost and risk? For many, the North American supply chain was the most efficient option. Now, tearing it apart means higher costs and lost competitiveness. Small and medium-sized businesses are especially vulnerable, lacking resources to adapt quickly. Some may go out of business entirely, unable to absorb the shock. The trade war creates winners and losers, but mostly it breeds anxiety and disruption. The longer the uncertainty drags on, the greater the damage to economic growth. The business world is holding its breath. The clock is ticking. Trump's tariffs take effect August 1st with no extensions. This hard deadline forces urgent negotiations as both sides race to avoid economic disaster. The White House hopes the pressure will force Canada to concede, but Ottawa stands firm. It's a high-stakes game of chicken with both economies on the line. Will there be a last-minute deal, or will the tariffs trigger a prolonged trade war? The outcome will shape US-Canada relations for years. For ordinary people, the future is uncertain. Job losses, higher prices, and strained alliances are all on the table. As the deadline looms, the world watches, hoping for reason to prevail.